Hello and welcome to a new video. I am Reddit Asks You, and today we are getting into some am I the arsehole? Let's get into the stories. And in the comments let us know your opinions. Am I the asshole for telling my brother that I want an apology from his wife and not him? From Les_since 1403. My 11 years old son goes to a skate park after school with his friends who include his cousin/my nephew Jack, who is also 11. I went to pick up both boys when I saw a crowd of kids by the fence. I went over and asked what was so interesting, and they pointed to a snake. Not just a snake, but a rattlesnake. They had never seen one before, maybe outside a zoo, and I assumed they were trying to get it to strike because they didn't think they'd get bit. I told them all to get away from it, and they did except Jack, who actually got closer with his phone. I think he wanted to get a close-up video of the snake striking. I yelled at him to get away, and he told me to hold on. I took him by his arm and pulled him away. He gave me this angry stare. I told him, what the fuck? That snake could kill you. He gave me the silent treatment until his mom picked him up. Then 20 minutes she called me up in a rage about how I grabbed him and did this and did that and hurt him, etc., and I'm not his dad. I asked her if her sweet angel told her about the rattlesnake that he was provoking. She said, what snake? I hung up. She called up again and said that I still owed her and Jack an apology for handling him. I told her to STFU and check his phone and see if I did any of that stuff, as his camera was recording everything. An hour later, my brother called me up and said what Jack did was stupid and he was happy I was there, but I still owed his wife an apology for telling her to STFU. I said I'm not apologizing for nothing. At least until she apologizes to me for coming at me sideways twice. To be honest, I don't even care because I don't like her anyways. He apologized and I said, not acceptable. She needs to apologize. Am I the asshole for wanting exclude my sister? From Little Force _9054. My 15F family likes to have a movie night. We basically do that on Fridays when my parents don't have work and my sister, 19F, doesn't have too much work for college. It usually happens like once a month. Mom insists on doing it or just having us all play a game so we can bond and have a good time, and it is really fun, so no one complains about it. Anyways, I recently noticed that my sister, 19F, starts crying every time we watch a movie. Like not the sad movies or anything like that, any movie that's for younger kids that we usually put on for my other sister, 10F, just has her face tearful. It's usually random movies about friendship or simple ideas like that, or just Disney movies or Studio Ghibli ones. She doesn't cry at all at anything else. I have no idea why. It's also during random parts of the movie that it makes no sense to cry about, like someone flying, or someone hugging someone, or someone sitting in a garden or something. No one else really notices because it's usually dark and we don't really talk during movies. Plus my sister is very unemotional usually, and this is so unexpected that even if I told anyone they wouldn't believe me till they saw it. She also makes no sound anyways. It also only happens that my sister is seated next to me during the movies and my parents and other sister are further away, so they wouldn't notice at all. I notice because I usually have to check my phone so her face is a bit clearer for me. This week my mom suggested another movie like that for us to watch next week. And since this time she agreed we'd be doing it with my friend coming over, I thought it would ruin the mood for the night if she saw my sister like that, and it was just not something I want to deal with. My friend is also nosy and knows my sister very well, and I kind of just want us to have fun without my sister in the picture. So here is where I may be TA. I told my mom I'm okay doing it as long as my sister is not there. And if she is there, then she has to stop crying over nothing and control her emotions for the night. My mom didn't see where I was coming from and told me if that's the case then they will do it without me. I don't really want that, so I told her that my sister is too old for this anyways and we could just not invite her from now on. She looked really upset and told me to go to my room. Aita? Am I the asshole for making my sister and her husband leave a family dinner? From Amlo05. I, 38F, have 3 kids, 15F, 13M, and 9M, with my husband, 38F. Both my side and my husband's side of the family live close, so we see each other all the time. On my side of the family, we get together every Friday at either my house or one of my siblings' houses for pizza. This past weekend, I was the one hosting pizza night. Our 13-years-old had his friends over that night, which sometimes happens on these nights, and there hasn't been an issue before this. My son's baseball teammates were over. One of his friends, Carson, got diagnosed as autistic a few months ago. This isn't particularly surprising, as something was always different with him. He's still a popular, smart boy, but it all made sense when he was diagnosed. My son and his friends are very confident in themselves, including Carson, and Carson's new special interest after baseball is his autism. Carson believes his autism makes him who he is insanely smart, helps my son and his friends with homework, and he can tell you anything about baseball. Carson, my son, and his friends also like making jokes about themselves. One of his friends is gay and jokes about his sexuality. My husband and I have made sure to talk to the boys about knowing what is and isn't appropriate and to know your boundaries. Carson will make jokes about his autism, usually directed at mocking what he believes are ableist parents, mocking anti-vaxxers, etc. Carson was upstairs with my son and their other friends before my husband or I got home. We had the family come over after school/work, and when pizza was ready, everyone came to the kitchen and dining room. Carson had some shirt on that said, "I love someone with autism." Autism is apparently a word autistics use for people who aren't autistic. We all sat down and my sister made a comment about the shirt. My sister and her son have a severely autistic son. He's 15 and can't do much on his own. My sister asked what the shirt meant and said it wasn't funny. It started escalating there, with my son and his friends getting rowdy. Carson then said something about not being a burden, to which my sister said, "For some of my friends, their children's autism are burdens, their children are burdens." At that point, I screamed at everyone to shut up and told my sister and her husband to leave. Since then, tensions have been pretty high, and we don't even know if there will be a pizza night next week. My sister and her husband has only dug their heels in their position. My son is very upset and cried to us about how his aunt could see someone like Carson, a longtime friend, as a burden. Most of my family is siding with my sister, saying that children should respect their elders, and said Carson is full of himself. My son is still very hurt by those comments, and I feel like he has a right to be, and Haven, T apologized to my sister. Aita? Am I the asshole for telling my daughter that I won't be attending her wedding? From suspicious_pair_4940. My daughter, who is 27, is getting married in August. She hasn't invited my wife or our children. I'm very hurt, and I told her that since my family wasn't welcome, I shouldn't be welcome too. She was angry with me and has called me crying, saying that I'm an odd for doing this to her, since who was going to walk her down the aisle? My daughter was a happy child until she was 13 and her mom and I divorced. She was devastated, and we did everything from therapy, etc. She couldn't fathom what was going on since we were a happy family. I met my beautiful wife 4 years later, and it was the second blow to her, since she lived with the hope that her mom and I would reconcile. She never liked my wife, even with the effort from the later to have a relationship. Now my wife and our small children aren't welcome to her wedding. Everyone else is invited, including her mom's new BF and his sons. She told me that she was free to invite whoever she wanted on her big day, and I totally agree with her and support her decision, but then shouldn't I also be free to decline the invitation? Why am I being the AH here? Am I the asshole for playing the trumpet? From Throwaway. Hi everyone. Throwaway account. I, 19F, am in college for my freshman year. My roommate is Megan, 20F, and she and I have gotten along somewhat well for the most part. Our suite mates, Adina and Cassidy, whom we share a bathroom with, are next door. I recently, over the past 2 weeks, started learning how to play trumpet and have been taking private lessons. Megan is usually out of the room when I have them, but sometimes she is at the dorm. Megan says she doesn't mind me playing the trumpet because she can put her earbuds in. This afternoon at around 3, I was practicing after my Zoom lesson had ended. Megan was not in the room. I got a text from Adina, asking if I would mind not practicing right now. I told her no, it wasn't quiet hours in the building until 10. She said she could hear it through the wall and she was taking a test. I told her that the building is where a lot of people live, and she could go to the lobby or to another building if she didn't want to hear me playing the trumpet. She came to our door in person and asked me to stop again. I told her politely again that this was my room and I had the right to do what I wanted as long as it wasn't quiet hours. We got into a huge argument, she left and went somewhere else to study, and I continued to practice. I told Megan and she said she's kinda pissed at me since now the four of us probably won't hang out together now, and we've been getting along really well. Now I feel like maybe I messed up, but then again I feel like I was following the building rules, so Reddit, aita? Am I the asshole for leaving my wife at the hospital with our newborn to go have an operation? From Hardly Used to Fever. Background. Me and my wife live in Central Jersey. She was a NYC resident for years before we met. Her doctor was from NYU and she was adamant about wanting to have the baby delivered with a DR she was familiar with. We're all good with that. This was never an issue even though the ride is 2 or so hours. A couple days before my wife went into labor, I had a motorcycle accident and broke my collarbone. I was scheduled for an operation on a Monday morning first thing. Sunday evening about 2 a.m. my wife wakes me up to tell me her water broke. She also tells me, "Don't worry about it, I know you have your operation this morning, I'll just take a cab." To which I replied, "That's ridiculous, of course I'll take you." I immediately gather everything together to drive her to NYU. Everything goes relatively smooth other than 30 hours of labor, our baby came out healthy and I was there to see the birth of my newborn. However, I was unable to cancel my appointment because I didn't want to leave my wife's side. After a bit of time I got through to my DR who said it is imperative that we have the operation before the bone heals while it is splintered. If we don't they will have to re-break it to set it and it may never heal right. They told me they can get me in right away if I head back home to Central NJ. I told her what they said and I asked if it was okay with her. To which she replied excitedly, "Of course. You should go." By the time I had the operation and got back to the hospital another day or so later, her entire family was there and the tension in the air was so thick you could cut it with a knife. When I finally got to talk to my wife, she said she hated that I left her there all alone, to which things got heated, and the last thing she said to me before I decided to drop it is, "I hate you for leaving me alone like this at a time that I needed you here, and I will probably hate you for the rest of my life for it." I couldn't even make the argument that you told me I should go. This is a 10-year-old argument, and we never bring it up cause it's such a hot button issue, but it has always been in the back of my head whether I was right to go. Her family says I should have stayed and my friends say I did the right thing, so I need an unbiased opinion so I can put this to rest for my own sanity. Am I the asshole for calling off the wedding? Background story: I am engaged and I wanted to elope. Big weddings are expensive and anxiety-inducing. We don't have much money saved. I would rather got our shit together first. I told him this. His family is rich and his mom has been pressuring us to get married. She told him I didn't love him because I didn't set a date. She offered to pay for our wedding, she'd do whatever we wanted. She'd repeat this to everyone. I caved. Fast forward, we look for venues. I ask about the budget. They decline. We wasted 2 to 3 of vacation to figure out venues were too expensive. We find a venue, now onto photographer. FM, fiance's mom, immediately told us her pick. A photographer that used being French as his personality. I picked an indie photographer from the list the planner sent. Indie photographer wasn't available, so I went with FM choice. We did the shoot. French photographer was horrible. Got weird angles, lots of feet pics. FM fires him and suddenly indie is available. Had a session with indie, was asked how we found them. I actually wanted to choose you first, but you were unavailable. It's great you freed up. Indie responds, "Huh, really?" confused. Later, FM fires planner. I think they lied to me. Another situation happens, rehearsal dinner. They want to do a pizza place. As long as we could bring our own ethnic food, it didn't matter. Last minute FM says she is signing contract. I be sure to ask again about outside food. She says they don't allow outside food after asking before. FM argues that they are paying a lot for the wedding and they won't change the place. I propose separate welcome dinners. I've stated multiple times that food is culturally important for my side. I told her I'm paying for my own welcome dinner. She states if there are two, there will be no wedding. I tell her no wedding then. She comes back, saying we can have separate dinners, but her son must be with his family. I agree. Now it's wedding invitations. I tried to stick with a cheap design. I told fiancé prior it would be nice if my name came before his. Every wedding I've been to has been that way. His parents end up picking the expensive upgrades. At the end my fiancé speaks up for me and suggests if we can put my name before his parents are on the top as hosts. FM yells over the phone no. We are keeping it the way it is absolutely not. I get overwhelmed and run to the bathroom to cry. It ends with her telling him to do whatever and hangs up. In the bathroom I think about how I was pressured and rushed. Every time I had an opinion it's a problem. This is not my wedding. Later I text FM that I want to make 2 separate invitations. She can make her own for their side. She called her son to give another ultimatum. If we have 2 invites, the wedding is off. I tell his mom the wedding is off. Things have been rocky. I tell him we can still get married, it's not like I didn't want to. If I let her control this, what else would she down the road? Aita? Thank you for watching. Please comment, like, and subscribe for more Reddit comment videos. Check the description for the original post from Reddit. Good luck to everyone today.